You're watching Good Evening San Diego.
As some businesses are getting ready to defy the new COVID-19 restrictions, many are asking what could legally happen to those who decide to not follow these orders. Legal Analyst Vikas Bajaj joins us now to talk more about the issue. Hi, Vic. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Good to see you. So what would happen? A business owner thinks to themselves, I just can't close anymore. If I do, it's going to be for good, and I might as well just stay open and take the consequences. What could happen to them?
Well, let me give you a personal anecdote. This afternoon, I was having my hair cut in Little Italy at Vince's barbershop, and they were shivering in fear. They're not even part of this order. But what can happen if you violate the order as a bar, a gym, or a restaurant, as today's directive directs the control of? It's up to 6 months in jail and up to $1,000 or both. And these are misdemeanor offenses that can be filed against these people. It's just atrocious, frankly, Logan. And now what you're going to see is a lot of business owners gather together, unify their forces, and we need to do what we can to support our brothers and sisters who are going through horrible times in our community.
And we've heard about that. Lawsuits being filed by businesses against the governor asking for an injunction to stay open. What do you think the chances of a lawsuit like that are?
Very difficult. I mean, our governor has signed an executive order, as we all know, March 19th, and then another one in July, and then one, of course, November the 10th. And we have our own city council asking for harsher punishments and more directives. This really comes down to, Logan, the people. The people are going to have to help each other. I'm not just a fancy suit. I'm also a small business owner, and we all have to do our part. And for instance, anyone who's charged with these offenses, which are just draconian, our office is going to represent them for free without charging them attorney's fees. It's just the right thing to do. I think we're going to see a lot of collective action amongst people in our community to make sure there's the end to this suffering for these people who just want to put food on the table for their families, Logan.
What about maybe a different lawsuit where the business does shut down and then they sue the state to try to recoup the money that they've lost, claiming that the state forced them to close and they've been damaged or injured as a result and they want to be made whole again?
I think those are viable lawsuits. Now, when we look at the law and what the courts will have to address, they'll have to look at whether there was a reason for it, whether the control was reasonably balanced to a governmental control issue, such as the health and safety of the community. That's a slippery slope. It's an uphill battle to win that. Of course, it's going to cost tens and thousands of dollars in attorney's fees for those plaintiffs. It's a fight worth fighting, but it surely is a difficult and high threshold.
There was one other lawsuit that had that was victorious in, I guess, stopping the governor from making additional orders. And I guess the idea was that the governor is doing things that legislators are supposed to do. And maybe when you have an emergency situation that's a month or 2 or 3 old, you can understand it. But we're into 8 months now, and that's really something for the legislature.
That's absolutely correct. And that's really the gravamen of the separation of powers. We see that in national debates, national lawsuits, federal and state, but you hit the nail on the head. This is a job for lawmakers. Now, we have the benefit for courts and reviewing courts who will review preliminary injunctions, for instance, as you astutely point out, and look at data. Now we have data that frankly flies in the face of these mandates being effective, and that's part and parcel to these judges' decisions striking down the ongoing authority that's being exercised by governors across the nation.
One more lawsuit to throw at you possibly is that maybe local officials are saying, hey, we are better positioned to take care of our localities and we should be making these decisions. Could there be a lawsuit that says the governor doesn't get to make these decisions, but rather our local representatives do?
Yes, absolutely. And that's not a separation of powers because they're all amongst the same branch. It would be a municipality against the state. But again, that would also address whether these restrictions are narrowly tailored. That's the standard here, Logan. Are they narrowly tailored by restricting the liberties? It's a different plaintiff, but the same cause of action.
Final question, Vic. I mean, it sounds like any business should just not really stay open. I mean, you're talking about 6 months in jail and $1,000 penalty. I mean, would they actually arrest those owners? And could they arrest maybe a patron, somebody getting their haircut, somebody having a meal who was inside at a restaurant?
Absolutely a great question, and that just sends shivers again up every small business owner's spine. The reality is there is not the enforcement availability to enforce these draconian laws. It is a law that if you're unfortunately selected to be in violation of, you could face prosecution. But we also saw an example here of a gym owner that was charged with a multiplicity of these government code misdemeanors. And of course, the district attorney backed off on that and dismissed those charges. So to answer your question, Logan, you can face the charges, you can face arrest, but the practical matter is it's an unpopular vote to prosecute small business owners and patrons that are trying to support them so they can put food on the table for their families.
Vikas Bajaj, great information, Vic. Thanks for handling all of those different nuances of lawsuits. We love the haircut. We hope your guy stays in business there. It's good to see you, buddy. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you, Logan.
Did you hear that word Vic threw out there?
Oh, dear.
Gravamen. Always the tantamount. It started with tantamount, and I had to look up tantamount and understand. Logan has a law degree, so he just rolls with it
and knows exactly. We're over here like,
what did he just say? I looked it up, and if you were like me and what did he just say? So a gravamen is a complaint or grievance.
Look at that.
How about that?
I'll be the smartest one in the next dinner conversation. That's for sure.
Throw that one out there.
Try to use it at some point. So it's a grievance or complaint. So if you like warm weather, you may have a gravamen about this, right? Wow. Hey, yes.
We have
Hunter.
I am wrapped up in a blanket right now. I'm so mad about this. You have no idea.
Well, very good. See, we try to teach you things here on Good Evening San Diego.